Welcome back to Real Rock Nights. What do you say? We do it. I'm honored to have this man on the show. First Square Hammer and now ever on. Mike Canton from Tiger Kid. Thank you so much for being on Real Rock Nights, man.
Hey man, thank you so much for having me. Thanks for keeping that music rolling.
Oh, well, hey, you got the talent, so it's your fault, okay?
Yeah, talent's a fun word nowadays.
how you been doing?
I'm good, man. We're in the interesting kind of transitional phase now.
Now,
Well, I mean, all of us are, I guess. That you're starting to see hints of normalcy all around us, and basketball games back and full capacity back, and you're seeing rescheduled tour dates from a year and a half ago, and it's it's starting to feel like we're over the hump, which is encouraging, especially as musicians. Been kind of twiddling our thumbs for a little while.
no kidding. Now, with things being open up, are you looking at actually setting up tours and stuff now?
Yeah, so I'm in an interesting position because I started this whole project as a solo project where even on the recordings, I did guitar bass vocals, and then my producer engineer jumped in and did drums, but I still kind of wrote the drums parts that he played because
Okay.
I'd be fumbling through them. So now I'm assembling a live band to start playing. And we already have a drummer, we have a bass player, and I'm just kind of trying to figure out a guitar player, which is odd being in LA because every other person you meet is a guitar player.
Of course. Of
Yeah.
course.
So, but once we get that together, then yeah, it's going to be a mixture of playing shows, of minor tours. The festival season's kind of weird right now because I feel like some are going to be hitting. It's going to be a little bit postponed, so we'll see what happens in the fall. But then I plan on doing a lot of content, which is
Okay.
oddly one of the things that kind of defines the modern music scene.
A lot of content
Um,
as how, yeah, like
as in
graphical arts and
videos.
things. Oh, okay.
No, as in things for people to consume, whether it's social media stuff, whether it's TikTok, whether it's more music videos, whether it's recording live things. Uh, from the beginning, I've kind of had this view in my head of how I wanted Tiger Kid to be, both sonically and then once you kind of see the band, because transitioning it from a single person to a band, I don't just want to be another bunch of dudes in t-shirts and jeans playing rock. I mean, there's
Okay.
5 billion, you know. Uh, so I'm trying to kind of I have a different direction that I want the visual aspect of Tiger Kid to go, and a lot of it depends on once we bring the guys in, once we get tight. Um, there's a lot of fun stuff. I have a lot of ideas
Oh, a lot of stuff
that
ready
we'll see how
and
they translate.
a lot of stuff ready to go. You
Yeah,
have this stuff in the back of your mind. You know exactly how you wanted to launch it.
yeah. I mean, that kind of happened from the beginning because once we did the music video to Ever On, which was we recorded that back in October in the middle of lockdown here in LA, and it was right when everything had kind of opened up for maybe 2 weeks before it locked back down again. So we
Okay.
found this window to go and record, but we had, I mean, it was 3 months of planning to get that all shot in a single day. Um, but that's a lot of other stuff. Like I've had this idea in my head. I want to do a short horror film.
A short.
Um,
Okay. All
yeah,
right.
kind of like thriller esque, but less, more of that idea, but less of that kind of execution. Um, but the focal point of the entire thing, it's going to be a story, and kind of you get into this world, and then the music starts, and this I have a new song that I'm finishing up recording now that's going to be kind of the soundtrack to the main
The
action
okay.
sequence in it.
Oh, that's
um
kind of cool. So, are you a movie guy then? Is that something that
no.
you?
I'm
Oh,
an idea
really?
guy, so um
Then okay. Then how did that happen? Where you're like, this is what I'm gonna do.
it's it's more of once I see the music in a really different sense. I've always kind of seen colors and ideas that are associated with music, both stuff that I grew up on and stuff that I create.
Okay.
And luckily, I have a lot of friends that are amazing, either filmmakers or audio engineers or just kind of graphic artists that I'll like. I have a new song that I'm working on now, and the first time I heard it, I was like, oh my god, this sounds like an action sequence in something. It sounds like someone bursting through a door. This music starts, and then it just kind of you start spitballing.
Okay.
And then I sit down with my buddy who's the director, and I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? And it's kind of like getting a tattoo. You come with ideas, and they're like, easy. That's not how any of this works. Then they bring you back down to reality. So, but yeah, the horror idea, that's one thing. I have a lot of cool video ideas that I want to do. The execution and the finding out how much it's based in reality will be fun, but it's always good to come in with too much and then slowly
Then
bring
whittle it down a little bit.
Exactly.
So are you from LA or just working out of LA right now?
No, well, I've been out here for almost 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I grew up in Miami, in
Okay.
Florida, this little area called Miami Shores. And I was there till I was 18, left. I went to college in Chicago. So I always say I was born in Miami and I was raised in Chicago because I was in Chicago until I was about 30.
Okay.
And I had an amazing band out there that we were together for about 7 years and toured around, played pretty much weekly at that point. And I moved out here, yeah, about 9 years ago.
Oh,
10 years ago, and joined a band as soon as I landed. Literally, like I was on Craigslist, like finding bands looking for guitar players as the deals were landing.
Craigslist.
I think I had a band before I had a job, which is kind of par for the course in this industry.
Craigslist, man, that's so rock and roll.
Oh yeah, man, this is Craigslist. This is back when we were all stoked that MySpace was out because you got free websites. You got a free band site.
So this is like the mid 2000s, mid to late 2000s. Yeah. Okay.
So, and then it was kind of, I played in a few bands out here, and that's when I started putting this kind of solo project together in my head. Because as a guitar player, we have riffs, and you have riffs that you've had for 10 years for stuff that you've sat on that have never really transitioned to songs, or some that you've been sitting on for so long that you'll write a new riff and you're like, oh my God, those two fit together. So you have all these puzzle pieces, and I had about 2 or 3 songs that I had been sitting on that have been waiting for the right project. And then honestly, I got tired of waiting and looking around for singers.
Just like, I'm going to do it myself.
Yeah. I have a great vocal coach, and it was kind of deciding what direction I wanted to take my voice to. I've workshopped Mike Patton for like half my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've been a huge Patton fan, but that's been like, because he has the ability to like guttural screams.
Yeah,
and then he hit these soaring operatic tones.
And he's got multiple tones within those screams. That's,
I think he's one of the guys that he has one of the broadest octave ranges because he can hit like Mariah Carey notes.
Yeah.
Like some of his stuff with Tomahawk, you hear it and you're like, well, I don't know what's happening. So I'm definitely not up there. I'm more in like a wheelhouse. But that's when I was younger, I tried to be him. It was a little bit more tinny, like I was trying to imitate it.
Okay.
But as I kind of started coming into my own, and that's weird too, because I'm late 30s. So a lot of guys that have been singing forever, by the time they're my age, their voices are burnt out
or shot.
Unless you're someone like Claudio from Coheed and Cambria, that I feel like it took until he was mid-30s to learn how to actually sing his songs.
There are some people like that though, that sing wrong for like half their lives.
Yeah.
And then actually like get it at one point. And then next thing you know, they're like 65 years old and they're still on stage and sound good.
Yeah, they can still do it.
Exactly.
And, I remember listening to interviews with like Don Hensley and stuff like that, and even old Eagles dudes, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what kind of vocal warm-ups do you do?" He's like, "I don't do warm-ups. That's just
I woke up one day I could sing, so I did."
Yeah, I remember Ed Sheeran. I remember listening to interview Ed Sheeran, and he was backstage at some award show, and there was guys there like on vocal rest, and he's like having a cigarette. He's like, "Oh, should I be doing that?" Like,
So
like some people don't have to warm up. I got to warm up for a long time.
I a long time ago, I asked this kid that I was interviewing. I can't remember what the hell the name of the band is anymore. Anyway, I asked him. I was like, "This is still when smoking was in bars," and I asked him. I was like, "So." Something about how does it bother, or does it bother your voice or your throat, like the club after club after club? And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm normally the one up there chain smoking and drinking like a fish. Okay, well, I think that's partially why the band is not around anymore.
Exactly. But for some people, honestly, it's like seasoning cast iron. Like that's how they made their voice. It was enough beer and like Marlboro Reds, and that's your tone.
Gritty guttural tone.
Yeah, exactly. But you're not really going to be lasting for a long time off that.
And well, I don't know. Talk to Mick Jagger.
I don't think you can use the Stones for anything. Like those, they're just.
You think they're just way out there? There's that level.
Yeah. They're all kicking. Like it's like Aerosmith. Like I don't know how these guys are still doing what they do, especially for how rough they had it.
Yeah, that's what when how hard. Now you're talking about Steven Tyler. It's like how hard he lived through the like mid 70s, mid to late 70s, and then even delved into the early 80s with he actually has some rehab stuff but he can still, he's lost a little bit in his high end, but he can still, like, he's dialing it back, I feel.
Yeah,
but he still brings it
because he's gone through so many different levels or like stages of his voice. Because you listen to like the old, like the original Dream On.
Yeah.
Like, who's this? Was this like before Steven Tyler? You're
yeah.
Like, oh no, it's just 20-year-old Steven Tyler.
20-year-old, he's got that clear resonance to his voice.
Then you have like the pump Steven Tyler, where it's just like he was just learning how to get that like.
Yep.
And then everything after that was just he just lived in the grit. But a lot of those guys, like, didn't they go? They all went sober for a long time.
Oh yeah, yeah.
A lot of those bands. I mean, I remember when the Allman Brothers went sober, and you're like, "Wow, it's crazy!" Like you're kicking Dickie Betts out because.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking at one point they probably realized that okay, you know, I can't. I'm getting too fucked up now. I have to like come back down to earth.
Also, I mean, it's when you're like that, like that's your job. Your job's to play shows.
That's exactly true.
I think of Fish a lot too, because I remember Trey talked a lot about that. At one point, when you're doing blow and you're drinking every night, and then you think about it and you're like, wait a second, I got 100 people that I'm paying their salary that are doing lights and like we're touring on here, and I'm acting like a 20-year-old. That can be sobering too when you're a corporation as a band, which is
seeing you as an artist, you can see that better than I can actually. Because you know what it feels like to have all those people behind you. Me, rather, you know, I'm here with like 5-6 guys.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird to have to put any kind of team together and all. But then, when obviously people a lot bigger than me, when you start touring and when you have all these different fees going into stuff, you know, you're paying people when you play. So if you don't play things, nobody gets paid. It's a weird, the business aspect of music has always been odd, and it's something that people don't talk about because you want to kind of keep the facade of of rock and roll and all that stuff, but it's all it's everyone's taking a cut down the line, and if the talent doesn't do anything, there's nothing to take a cut of. So that's pretty much true. Eventually I can see why people start kind of taking care of themselves. And that's why you're seeing, all these old bands from, the late 90s and early 2000s. What's been the trend? I mean, pre-COVID, obviously, but the trend was to play like their famous album in its entirety.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people would come out for that. Like, whatever you thought about Yellow Card, they'd play their one album and you're like, oh my God, I know every song on this. And that could draw a crowd.
Yeah, that whole nostalgia thing that was, and I wonder if that's going to start ramping up again the way it was pre-COVID. Because I mean, come on, there's a lot of There's a lot of money to be made out there with that, man.
And also for a lot of bands, touring is the only way you make money, because if you have any label contract, you don't own your music.
No, no, you
And
don't
the
own
only
your
way you're
music.
making money is off touring. So the fact
It's
that
a
a lot of these bands haven't been able to tour for a year and a half has just been brutal.
it's a whole different landscape, man. When I talk to different friends of mine, this is their only uh way to make money, basically.
Yeah.
And they were pulling down, a couple thousand a show.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like you're in 8 people or a band with 8 people and you're making how much? But anyway, and now over this last year, it's like all of a sudden their Instagram showing them in Cancun or whatever. They're
Oh
all
yeah.
gone, man, because they're sitting at home doing nothing.
Yeah.
Like me.
But I don't know. I feel like it's kind of been interesting for radio because, I mean, I'm sure you've had more access to people than there's ever been before.
Yeah, exactly. It's I've been doing so much more of the Zoom stuff, and that
Yeah.
because people they're not doing anything. So it's like, yeah, that's no problem, and uh there for a while it was almost like get a hold of one of our record reps and say, hey, I want this person. Okay.
And
It
they're like,
wasn't
hold on,
like
let me
that
see what
before
time they
that.
wake up.
Exactly. Wasn't like that before that. And like you today, you actually logged on 6 minutes early.
Yeah.
Did you? I was like, that doesn't happen, man.
Well,
When I
also
saw that admit button pop up, I was like, what the hell?
no, that's me. I'm a massive stickler for being early to things.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can't. I mean, it's one of my biggest pet peeves. I feel like when you're late, you're not like respecting whoever you're with. You're trying to. It's like saying that your time is worth more than someone else's. I've been like that since I was a kid. Like I'd rather be 5 minutes early, and it's also like when I travel, I'm at the airport, 2 hours, 3 hours early, because I'd rather chill and do my thing, and rather than scramble to stuff.
And be there instead of running behind. And,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, okay, I kind of get. And then it also it sounds like your parents taught you well.
No, I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like my parents were late to everything.
Oh,
And
so
so
you learned how not to do things.
I think I just decided to start Xing out a lot of the things in my life that caused me unnecessary stress. And
Okay.
being late to things was a massive weight off my shoulders. If I have to be somewhere at 2, I'm like, I'll leave at 1:30 and slowly get there, rather than, oh shit, it's 1:50.
Yeah. Am I gonna
then
make
you're
it?
Are they
Oh,
apologizing?
traffic.
Exactly.
Is there construction? Okay. I wanted to ask you, why Square Hammer?
It's funny because I've had a list of covers, and I still do. I have a list of covers of songs that I want a Tiger Kid to do.
Okay.
And when I first put that out there, everyone that I talked to was like, "Who?" And I'm like, "How do you guys not know Ghost?" I'm like, "This isn't some underground band. This guy, I mean, Square Hammer, I think I forget which publication. It was like, it wasn't Spin. It was someone big. Took like the #1 rock song of the decade. I'm like, it's a big song."
Yeah.
And Ghost is selling. I mean, you're in LA, they'll sell out the Forum, then they'll go and sell at stadiums in Denmark. Like they're insane. But I've loved these guys forever. I saw them open for Opeth and Mastodon in Chicago. Wow. Like, what, it was their first tour, so maybe like 12, 13 years ago.
Okay. I was thinking that. I was like, a little while ago, I was like,
yeah,
I wonder
it was forever,
if he's
man.
a big fan of Ghost. I wonder if that's what it is.
Well, I remember I've always liked them. I heard them first on XM. That was the first time ever, and that was their first single, which was Ritual.
Okay.
And I thought it was some 70s band I missed, and I was like, how have I never heard of these guys? Like a Pentagram or someone like that. And then I looked them up, and I'm like, oh, there's some new band. And I also, it's weird to say, and I have to kind of like, explain it whenever I say it. I loved how over the top satanic they were.
Yeah. Well,
because no one does it anymore.
The whole persona. I love that. Like
if you're black metal, you have to be satanic. You need satanic lyrics. You got to look like, Amon Amarth. You have to look like all these bands, because what they do over in like Sweden and Norway and stuff is that's how it is. They're all painted up like Kiss, but it's brutal and bloody, and bands like Behemoth and stuff like that, and I loved it. Except Ghost did that, where he looked like a satanic pope. He had all his accolades, and then he played like 70s pop rock, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And it was just so genius. And this is back when anyone knew who like Tobias Forge was, and before they knew of like any of his underground bands and stuff like that. But I remember Square Hammer as it jumped out at me amongst all their songs as this just it was mainstream rock, but it was mainstream rock that even like regular metalheads or rocker guys can be like, oh, that's cool. Rather than I feel like there's a rift between pop rock and between like hardcore like band groupies that are into the deep cuts and stuff like that on harder stuff, that they're like, oh, I don't listen to that radio shit, because that everything going to the radio is going to be whatever. It's going to be souped down, it's going to be cut for time, and it's like the poppiest song out there. And Square Hammer really towed the line. It was catchy, it was an epic chorus, it had all the aspect to make a good song, but like I would play it by myself like unabashedly. I'm like, this song's bad. I cover, but I wanted to do kind of something to make it a little bit more original. So I went in with Bert, who is my producer engineer. He's actually the music guy who's writing the stuff to the new Power Rangers show, which is funny.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So last year when we recorded all this Tiger Kids stuff, no one was working. Like, Bert, we're going to make an EP. But it ended up working out. So I went in with him and I'm like, hey, dude, listen to the song a few times. I want to do an acoustic version of it. I had all the acoustic parts written out. I had the vocal harmonies and stuff like that written out. And then I'm like, let's do cool instrumentation. I want to play up like the Halloween aspect, because the song's kind of creepy, but I'm like, I want wolf howls. I want, like church organs and chains rattling and stuff like that. So we messed around with the sound design, and he was genius in the studio when we were coming up with stuff. But at every layer that we put down, I was like, oh my God, yes, that. And then as we did it, the song kind of started unfolding. And I listened back to it and I'm like, I feel like we honored the song and we honored the band well, because it doesn't lose anything. If anything, we made the vocals a little bit more prominent, because Ghost is super, they go really reverb heavy. He sits back in the mix a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And this one was all about, the big bell, the kind of like, it made it sound like a creepy, like British town at midnight. There was something about it that I really liked.
Well, I was, when I first heard it, at first I saw my, Square Hammer and I was like, wait a minute, is this a remake? I was like, what the hell? And then I listened to it and, it wasn't that, because so many artists that, do those covers, it's basically like a karaoke song.
Yeah.
That was your own. I was like, damn. And I was even wondering, because these guys are all made up and in makeup, and I think some of them obscure their faces with like sheaths and things. And I was like, man, was this guy actually in Ghost? What the
Which is funny. Yeah, obviously that's the biggest compliment you can get off a cover. Was this guy secretly in the band?
Yeah. I was like, what the heck? Did he
I think I put it in the YouTube like liner notes or in the comments there. I think I put something of Tiger Kid is not a member of Ghost, but if he was asked nicely, he might don the cloak or something.
I like that. But if he was asked nicely.
But there was a lot of things I wanted to change. I wanted to make the vocals a lot bigger, because obviously if it's an acoustic, that's good. It's going to be a little toned down in general. But yeah, I also wanted to drop it an octave to kind of show. I wanted there to be a big jump on the chorus, rather than the verse can kind of be tightened down here. And I don't know, the way it came out, and we kind of kept shaping it until it sounded like how it did in my head. That's how I record. I go in and I'll write guitar riffs, and then I hear the songs completed in my head. I hear how the drums should be. I hear individual licks. I hear vocal things. And the hardest thing is just getting it out and translating it and somehow making it sound how I hear it,
How
which doesn't happen
okay.
a lot of the times. So with this one, those are like I heard a wolf howling in the beginning, you know, as like the marker that all the music's about to kick in. I liked, you know, there's a line in it that says like hammering the nails like into a sacred coffin, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to hammer nails, dude. I want it to sound like. There's a Rob Zombie or a White Zombie song. Actually, the first song on Astro Creep. It's called "The Electric Head Part 1,"
Okay.
and it's like the most badass. It has this long, convoluted
The
intro
long intros.
that he
So
does that
Rob
just
is
sample
known for
things.
those, man.
Yeah, but he has one part of it where it kind of like stops, and it sounds like this hammering thing, and it's the creepiest goddamn sound. And it's
Oh,
right before the music kicks in, and that's what I had in my head. I'm like, I like sound design wise, I want something like this here. And as we plugged it in, and as all the little fine points started getting together, I was like, this is good, man. And I've had people, I mean, I would never say it, but I've had people like, oh, I like your version way better. And I'm like, I appreciate that. You know, they have 45 million more views than I do. But it's nice that people that don't know the band like the acoustic version of it. But no, I think it's cool. I think I paid tribute to the band. I feel like I did a little bit of a riff on what they did without kind of like changing anything. The progressions are there, the vocal melodies exactly the same. It was fun. It's a fun way to kind of announce yourself on the scene of like,
and
hey, I'm doing something different, but it's still familiar, you know?
so have you heard it from any of the members of Ghost?
No, not yet. They're well, I know Ghost is mainly a one dude. It's mainly Tobias who writes all their stuff, and he's their main singer. I know in the studio he collaborates with a handful of people, but no, I mean they're way too big to get back to
they're
promoting.
not
It's
gonna
like
they're
me, man.
not gonna mess around with a little peon like you.
No, not yet. It's like, oh, you covered my song. That's cute, you know.
Ever on, man. This song,
Yeah,
I love this song. I
dude,
really
I love
do.
that song.
And actually, the whole EP, I think it's cool on your website.
Yeah,
People can actually listen to the songs on the EP,
yeah,
and
I
so they
have.
know exactly. And dude, what you have so many different styles and changes between things. Like he can do that. Oh my god, he can do that. What
Yeah,
what
it's
is
it's
up?
it's interesting. It's the hard thing for this EP was finding the songs that I thought really kind of went together. They had to share some kind of aspect to it, like musically. I always write music before I write lyrics.
Okay.
Uh, and for a bunch of these, the song Tiger Kid on it was the first song we had, which ended up being eclipsed by every other song as it went along. Because as we progressed, I feel like we started to kind of catch our stride about 2 or 3 songs in.
Okay.
But and Ever On was the last song we recorded on it, which was funny because I kept pushing Ever On off because we knew it was probably going to be the most complicated in terms of I had so many guitar parts, and I think I had 5-part vocal harmonies on the chorus, and so we're like, all right, let's leave the hard song to the end. And even lyrically, I knew that was going to be something different. I wrote this poem like years ago. I was taking my dog on a walk at like midnight, and I was super stoned. And I write a lot of my lyrics while taking my dog on a walk, which is kind of how it all works. Because
Okay, that makes
I
sense
like
though.
I like the cadence when you're walking. For me, it's like hearing like a bass drum. So I can hear riffs off that kind of cadence. I can hear, uh, I can even like hum, just kind of to get like the flow of how the lyrics are gonna go before there's any kind of melody to them. And I wrote this whole kind of this poem about. I mean, it's a total stone poem about how the universe is expanding, and that concept has always really messed with my head. Like if you think about it, um, because the universe is we don't define it as anything, and if it's expanding, what the hell is it expanding into? And that ruins me if you think too
That's
hard about it, because you can't expand unless you're in something and you have something to expand out into. But it's expanding, and it's expanding. It has and it will forever, possibly. So there was something. I kind of tied together on how, there's people that are stuck in, whether it's, anxiety or depression or a dead end job, or people, I mean, there's people that are on the verge of suicide because they're like, there's nothing. This is my life. I'm stuck in this shit. And when you think about it, you're born into this existence that's doing this. It's fucking exploding. And if anything, we should take a cue, because it's in our nature to always be moving and always be, don't get stuck because nothing else around you is. It's all moving away from you, man. So you may as well just jump on.
The whole forward progression thing. I'm
Yeah.
a big forward progression. Is I don't no, I'm not going to say I hate. I'm saddened by people that I know, like people my age and stuff, that get stuck in a place, whether it be musically, stuck in life, whatever,
Yeah.
And how many times have you heard people say, God, I can't stand my job. It's like, this is just
everyone.
Go get a new one.
That's the one thing people don't understand. If you hate your shit, then start something else, man.
Exactly.
Quit. Jump on a fucking train. Go to a different city. Like, find a friend that lives somewhere that you've never been to and be like, hey, can I crash with you for a month? Like, you can drop your entire life and go and do anything else if you're in a rut.
Well, you said just that. It's your life.
Yeah.
It's their life. They can do whatever the hell they want. It's like,
yeah.
What? Like, don't stand there bitching me because your boss won't give you a promotion and you've been at the same job for 8 years and you feel stagnant. Go do something else.
That's the thing too. So that was kind of one of the things, and it took a while. It took a lot of rewrites to really get the concept down and to kind of get the lyrics to reflect the idea I was putting across. But the whole, like, when I wrote the whole poem down, the first lyric was like "ever on," like exclamation point.
Okay.
And it was like a throwback to, a lot of those old 1700s, 1800s kind of thing, where it'd be like, you would have the action and then underneath it you'd be defining it. So this one was, it was about, from the Big Bang on, we've just been doing this. So, so it's our birthright to not be stuck. It's our birthright to move on. And also that's just been me. I've always had a bit of wanderlust. Like I've moved multiple times. I mean, I've left multiple jobs.
Mm-hmm.
If you feel stuck, just get out, man. Find something else. And so that it kind of reflected the theme on a lot of the Tiger Kid songs, which I always defined it as like aggressive self-affirmations. It's like like that kind of pep talk when you're like in the mirror. You're like, fuck you, we got this. Before you walk into something, you need someone to kind of give that pep talk. You're in your car about to go into a job interview, and you're either like having a panic attack, or you're like, I'm gonna make this interview my bitch. Like you got to do something. So a lot of the songs, I mean, Springtrap is about like literally depression and anxiety, and it's about, the whole chorus is, what are the lyrics? It's like, this Springtrap prison, my chemical hell. I'm stronger than these bars. I'm bigger than this cell. And it's like, you can acknowledge what you're in, and you can still allow yourself to have the strength to overcome whatever you're doing.
To get out.
Which can sound cheesy, but if you're not talking yourself up, man, no one else is going to do it.
That's true. It's like you got to worry about number one.
You got to take care of yourself.
Part of it. Yeah.
And so Ever On was one of the songs that both sonically it was the funniest kind of hybrid that I had on it, because a lot of other these songs are, you could tell I'm going for, this is like radio play. They're 3.5 minutes. Even when we're recording them, we're like, how fast are you getting to that chorus? You got to get to that chorus quick. The verse, you need hooks, but then you need a hook for the chorus. When we did Ever On, the original cut was like 5.5 minutes. Like, it was a longer song.
Okay.
We had a long bridge. I had an extended solo. It was fun. But sonically, it hit a hint of prog. Even the opening riff in it, it's a little bit kind of like a play on a time signature riff. I pay homage, obviously. There's a whole breakdown that you can tell the Rage influence on there. And then the chorus is just, it's catchy. It's catchy and it's big, and it's kind of like, it's rewarding and makes you feel good. So, but it also reflects the whole kind of, you know, it's okay to not be okay. Like the search for something never ends.
The
Um, Running circles around the sun. I really like. I love the lyrics of the chorus.
the whole that's what got me, the whole running circle around the sun kind of thing.
Yeah. Then we
Because
find the truth in what we are,
yeah,
expanding we're on. Yeah.
yeah, because it just keeps on, things keep on going and going.
Yeah, man.
It's really, it's, you're not going to stop it. You might as well jump on and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, and we're not the first people to worry about what you're worrying about. Like, you know, the ancient Greeks, their job was to like sit around and think and like live. So like it's
you're making me think of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
yeah, dude. So great.
So great. Like sands through the hourglass, these are the days of our lives.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Anyway, let's get back. Tigerkid.net is your website.
Yep.
And I love the fact that you have that everybody can listen to the EP, and then also before they buy, rather, because also these cuts are only 99 cents, man. That's like go through your freaking couch cushions, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have the whole EP for like $4.
Yeah, that's. I looked on there. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
It's
click
with this too. I mean, I want as many people to be able to listen to it. Like you can stream it on the website. Tiger Kid Music on YouTube. You can go. I have we have 2 new videos. So we did the video to Square Hammer and we had the video to Ever On. But then all the other songs, I have lyric videos. So you can just stream that. I'm on Spotify. We get a lot of streams on Spotify too. If you want I mean, it's hard. You're not going to be making a ton of money off it, but I would rather get it out there than
get your stuff out there and get people to hear it, kind of deal.
Tell a friend, man.
Yeah. Hey, word of mouth does a lot. It really does.
Yeah, it's the game. Or you share something, you see something, you're like, oh my God, check this out, and you just send it to one person. You know, that's all we can ask for. But yeah, so I got we have our Instagram, our Facebook, we got all that stuff.
You're all over, man. You really
gotta
are.
be.
Except when I type in Mike Canton if you're looking at Tiger Kid or Tiger Kid Band. Yes. Otherwise, you're gonna get a bunch of Daniel Tiger stuff. You're gonna be like, what the hell?
I didn't even know about Daniel Tiger.
So I typed in and all these cartoons came up. And I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
I didn't know if you were doing something new or something.
I mean, dude, that's really that's a solid career choice right there. It's funny because I have a 7-year-old now, and have you ever heard of Casper Baby Pants before?
No, I have
Dude,
not.
He's a huge musician. It's the friggin' singer guitarist from the President of the United States.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, that does
the Lump guys,
and Peaches, and so I always knew he was into kids music, but he has a band called Casper Baby Pants that's huge.
Really?
And dude, he has the album called The Baby Beatles. He just does Beatles covers, but like acoustic and sped up. I played that for my kid for like 3 years. I'm like, this is awesome, man.
Sound like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah, it's just a little faster, and it's how I got my son into the Beatles when he was 2 and 3. But yeah, man, there's different angles for musicians. Once you don't want to tour anymore, you're like, maybe I can write kids songs. I don't know.
I gotta check that out. Casper Baby Pants.
Honestly, he's good, man. He's real good. But yeah, that's as soon as we're just waiting for that one piece with the guitar player, and once we have that set, we're gonna be playing shows. We're gonna be releasing. I'm gonna be putting out. I have 2 really cool music videos I want to do that are like easy stuff, not like full production things, like a single cam and just some good editing afterwards. Okay. That I already have. We should be able to pump out in the next like month or 2, and then just shows, man. We'll start touring a little bit over here. We'll hopefully jump on a few festivals out in the Midwest, and then hopefully I'm trying to get a full length out this year.
Okay.
Because I have 2 new songs, plus I'm going to put Square Hammer on, so I'll have It'll be an 8-song full length. But yeah, man, there's right as things are opening up now, you can start to see all these bands like, oh my God, is it time? Can we do this?
It's like, well, I'm starting to we actually are starting to put our concert calendar back together because like there are enough like shows now to tell people about.
Oh yeah.
So
And Vegas is kicking right now too. So
is it? Is it?
yeah.
Are they kind of? I've noticed things around here are starting to come out. I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and
Oh, dude, I've
I
been
was
there
actually
so many
for the
times.
first time the other day. I actually went to the grocery store without my mask. Enough people have gotten vaccinated and stuff now
That's
that
pretty crazy.
things are opening up. That's the first time in a freaking
My
year. I'm
wife's
like, oh my
grandparents
god.
actually are born and raised Tulsa. So
Oh really?
oh yeah, so we're out there. I mean, we're out there twice a year normally. But Tulsa's got they got a cool little scene, man.
That's what I've been told. But I got here and then the pandemic hit, and I
Yeah.
was like, man, was this one of the biggest mistakes of my life?
I don't know, man. I know a lot of people that moved and then suddenly they're like, "Oh man, now I can't go anywhere."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, there's nothing there. There's any, I don't know. It's happened to me multiple times, so I'll figure it out. But now with stuff opening up, hopefully I'll be able to get down. I know there's what Kane's Ballroom down here. I got to check out. There's a couple
Yeah.
other places that
Yeah,
I've
and
been
I mean, I
told
know
are.
a lot of people swing through Tulsa whenever you're hitting anything around there from, Colorado to Arizona, things in Texas. Like they have a couple really cool venues. I'd love to once we start deciding to swing around the South. That's gonna be fun too. It's gonna be deciding what areas to go to first.
Where to go, what to, yeah,
Yeah, because
what's
you
going to
got
benefit you the most, like at the certain point on that
yeah,
album
and it's
cycle.
finding out where the most people would be interested in this kind of style, what kind of bills would be the best to jump on, things like that. So
Okay,
uh,
well, I look forward. You get around here anyway. Hell, you get within a like 3-state radius. Expect to see my face.
oh,
I'll,
100%, man.
I'll contact you. I'll be like, "Hey, Mike, I'm on the way to blah 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 show. See you in a bit." So, TigerKid.net, head there. Ever On. What do you say we give people a taste of Ever On?
Ever on, man. It's a banger. Yeah,
This
I mean, it starts off with a cool riff, and then it just kicks your ass. Like it's got lyrics you want to sing along to. It's got music that I still headbang to in the car. It's catchy. It's powerful. It makes you feel good, which is okay with music nowadays. I don't have to be depressed with every song I'm listening to. It's a
exactly.
song that you finish and you're just like, ah, like that
You
was
don't want to slit your wrist to it. This,
no
my friends, is Ever On. Man, Tiger Kid is right here, right now. It's inside of Real Rock Nights. Mike, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on Real Rock Nights, man. Let's
awesome.
do Ever On.
Thank you so much, man.